What if the most important decisions of your life, the ones you make about your health, your finances, your future, are being guided by a lie? Not a malicious lie told by a con man in the shadows, but a lie whispered by the very data you trust to tell you the truth. It's a lie so subtle, so seductive, that it fools Nobel laureates, CEOs, and doctors. And almost certainly, it has fooled you. There is a hidden world of numbers, a landscape of statistical traps and cognitive illusions that quietly governs our reality. Today we journey into that world. We're going to put your intuition to the test against the most powerful deceptions ever conceived by the human mind. Because the difference between seeing the trap and falling for it can be the difference between success and failure, justice and injustice, life and death. Imagine a city. Let's call it Viridia. From the outside, Viridia is a success story. The newspapers are glowing. A recent citywide report shows that the average income has risen by a staggering 15% in just 5 years. The mayor is on television, smiling, talking about prosperity for all. It's a simple, powerful number. 15%. It feels good. It feels like progress. You're thinking of moving there. So, here's your first test. Based on this data, is Viridia a city where the average citizen is becoming wealthier? It seems like an obvious yes, doesn't it? The numbers don't lie. But you've just walked into the first trap. The deception of the average. Let's peel back that single, beautiful number. Inside Viridia, a new tech company, Nexus Corp, has just set up its headquarters. They hired 1,000 local workers for modest salaries, but they also brought in 50 ultra-high-earning executives and one CEO whose annual compensation is in the hundreds of millions. When you calculate the average income, the mean that one colossal salary acts like a gravitational force, pulling the entire number upwards. The reality for 99% of Viridia's citizens is that their wages have stagnated or even fallen. The cost of living has skyrocketed because of the new influx of wealth at the very top. The city isn't more prosperous, it's more divided. The average experience is a fiction. The truth lies in the median, the number in the dead center of the data set, which has barely budged. The lie wasn't in the calculation, it was in the choice of the word average. It's a loaded gun, and it's used every single day to paint a picture of reality that doesn't exist, to sell you policies, products, and political promises that benefit a select few, while leaving everyone else behind. The city of Viridia feels richer, but its people are poorer, and the number that proved it was technically correct. This is just the beginning. The rabbit hole goes so much deeper. Now let's move from the town square to the sterile quiet of a hospital. A new drug, Cardia Heal, is being tested for treating a severe heart condition. The results are in, and they are confusing. The researchers look at the overall data from 2,000 patients. 1,000 received the drug. 1,000 received a placebo. And the numbers are grim. A higher percentage of patients who took Cardia Heal died than those who took the placebo. It's a failure. The multi-million-dollar trial is about to be scrapped. The drug is poison. But a young, observant statistician, let's call her Dr. Aries, feels a prickle of doubt. Something doesn't feel right. She decides to look closer. She separates the patients into two groups, those with a mild form of the heart condition, and those with a severe form. And what she finds is a paradox that should send a chill down your spine. In the mild group, Cardia Heal was a stunning success, a significantly lower death rate than the placebo. And in the severe group, the same thing. Cardia Heal was, also, a stunning success, with a much lower death rate than the placebo. Pause. Let that sink in. How is this possible? The drug works wonders on mild cases, and it works wonders on severe cases. But when you combine the data, it looks like a killer. What would you conclude? Do you trust the combined data, or the separated data? This is your next test. This isn't a riddle, it's Simpson's paradox, one of the most counterintuitive and dangerous traps in all of statistics. The answer lies in a hidden variable. In this case, doctors were, quite logically, more likely to give the new experimental drug to the patients who were the most desperate, the ones with the severe condition. So the drug group was disproportionately filled with the sickest people who were more likely to die anyway, with or without the drug. The placebo group was disproportionately filled with healthier patients. This imbalance, this lurking confounder, completely reversed the conclusion. The combined data told a lie. The separated data told the truth. Cardia Heal wasn't a poison. It was a miracle cure, and it was almost thrown in the trash because of a statistical illusion. How many life-saving discoveries have we missed because we didn't ask one more question? Because we trusted the simple, top-line number instead of wrestling with the messy, complicated truth beneath. The seduction of simplicity is powerful, and nowhere is it more powerful than in our desperate search for cause and effect. We see two things happening at the same time, and our brain, this magnificent pattern-matching machine, screams, "A cause is B." Every summer, as ice cream sales begin to soar, another more terrifying trend rises with it: shark attacks. The charts would look almost identical, a perfect correlation. So what's the obvious, if ridiculous, conclusion for a lawmaker trying to legislate beach safety? Ban ice cream to stop shark attacks? Of course not. The trap is obvious here because it's absurd. There is a third factor, a lurking variable: the summer sun. Hot weather causes more people to buy ice cream, and it causes more people to go swimming, thus increasing the chance of a shark encounter. The ice cream and the sharks are not related to each other. They are both related to the heat. It's funny when it's about ice cream. It stops being funny when the stakes are higher. A politician points to a city with high crime rates and also a high immigrant population. The correlation is there, a cold, hard number. The narrative is simple, seductive, and dangerous. It ignites fear and prejudice. But is immigration the cause of the crime? Or are there lurking variables 100 times more complex? Factors like poverty, lack of social services, urban density, and historical disadvantages, which might affect both the crime rate and be more prevalent in the areas where new immigrants can afford to live. By mistaking correlation for causation, we don't just get the answer wrong, we create scapegoats. We attack the symptom and ignore the disease. We pass laws that ruin lives based on a statistical mirage. This isn't just a mistake, it's a weapon, and it's used against us every day, in headlines, in political ads, in corporate reports. The single most important lesson in statistics is this: correlation is not causation. Say it until it's branded into your mind. The moment you see one thing tied to another, your very next question must always be, why? What is the third story? What am I not being told? Let's move now to a place of war. World War II. The Allied command is facing a devastating problem. Their bombers are being ripped apart by enemy anti-aircraft fire. Many are not making it back. They decide they need to add armor to the planes, but they can't armor the whole thing, or it will be too heavy to fly. So they have to be strategic. They bring in a team of engineers and statisticians. They meticulously study every bomber that returns to base, mapping out every single bullet hole. A clear pattern emerges. The holes are clustered on the wings, the tail, and the main fuselage. There are very few holes on the cockpit or the engines. The generals look at the data. The conclusion seems obvious. The test is yours. Where do you put the armor? The answer leaps out from the page. Reinforce the areas that are hit most often: the wings, the tail, the fuselage. It's common sense. It's what the data says. Any other decision would seem insane, but a quiet mathematician named Abraham Wald looked at the same data and came to the exact opposite conclusion. He told the military to put the armor where the bullet holes weren't, on the cockpit and the engines. Was he mad? No. He had avoided a trap so profound it has been named in honor of the very planes he was trying to save. Survivorship bias. The military was only studying the planes that made it back. They were looking at the survivors. The bullet holes on those returning planes represented the areas where a bomber could be hit and still survive to fly home. The reason there were no holes on the cockpit or the engines of the returning planes was terrifyingly simple. The planes that were shot in those places never came back. They were at the bottom of the ocean. The data was screaming a lie by its very silence. The most important data points were the ones that were missing. Wald's insight saved countless lives. He taught us that sometimes the most important information isn't in the story you're being told. It's in the stories that can no longer be told. We see this everywhere. We look at college dropouts like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and think, see, you don't need college to be a billionaire. We are blinded by the handful of survivors. We don't see the millions of dropouts who struggled, who failed, whose stories are never told. We study the secrets of successful marriages by interviewing couples who are still together, ignoring the vast, silent graveyard of divorces that might hold even more valuable lessons about what not to do. We build our view of the world on the evidence that is visible, forgetting that the invisible evidence might be the only thing that matters. So the next time you see a list of habits of successful people, Ask yourself, how many unsuccessful people had the exact same habits? The answer might change everything. Our brains are not just susceptible to these external traps. We create our own. Imagine you're a sports fan. Your favorite basketball player has been on fire. He's hit 10 shots in a row. He's in the zone. He has the hot hand. The announcer is screaming. The crowd is roaring. He gets the ball for the 11th shot. Here's your test. Is he more likely to make this shot than his normal season average? Your gut, your experience, everything you've ever felt watching sports screams, yes, he can't miss. And your gut would be wrong. The hot hand is a phantom, a ghost. When statisticians Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman, pioneers of behavioral economics, analyzed millions of shots in professional basketball, they found no evidence for it whatsoever. A player's chance of making a shot is almost completely independent of the shot they took just before. So why do we believe in it so fervently? Because of a cognitive trap called clustering illusion. Our brains hate randomness. We are hardwired to see patterns, even in a sea of cosmic static. A random sequence of heads and tails in a coin toss, like HTHTTHHHT, will almost certainly contain streaks of heads or tails. We don't see it as a random jumble. We see the streak of 3 heads and assign it a special meaning. Heads is on a roll. E. The player who hits 10 shots in a row is just one part of a long, random sequence of hits and misses that over the course of a season will conform to their average. We just happen to be paying attention during a cluster of successes. This same illusion fuels the gambler who thinks the roulette wheel is due for red after a streak of black. That's the gambler's fallacy, the hot hand's evil twin. The wheel has no memory. The dice have no memory. The universe does not owe you a win to balance things out. Each event is a new world, a fresh start, independent of the last. Yet we bet our fortunes, our careers, our hopes on the idea that we've found a pattern in the noise. We believe a stock that has gone up for 3 days is on a streak and bound to go up again, or one that has gone down is due for a correction. This is regression to the mean in action. Extreme events are, by their very nature, rare, and things tend to return to their average state. The star athlete who has the game of his life is likely to have a more normal game the next day. The company that has a record-breaking quarter is likely to have a more average one next. It's not a failure, it's just gravity. Statistical gravity, pulling everything back to the center. But we don't see it that way. We see streaks, we see slumps, we see magic and curses. We see anything but the truth, the often boring, often terrifying randomness of the world. Let's return to the courtroom, where we began. That 1 in a million statistic that sealed a man's fate. This trap is perhaps the most insidious of all. It's called the prosecutor's fallacy. Let's say a crime is committed and DNA evidence is found at the scene. This DNA doesn't match the victim, but it's found to match a suspect in a database. Let's call him John. A forensic expert takes the stand. He testifies that the chance of a random person in the country matching this DNA profile is 1 in a million. The prosecutor stands before the jury. He thunders, the chance that anyone other than John left that DNA is 1 in a million. Therefore, the chance that he is innocent is 1 in a million. It sounds airtight. It sounds like science. It is also a catastrophic lie. And here is your final, most crucial test. Can you see the flaw? The prosecutor has confused 2 completely different questions. The expert's statement was, the probability of the evidence, the DNA match, given that the person is innocent. The prosecutor twisted it into, the probability that the person is innocent, given the evidence. They sound similar. They are universes apart. Let's put it in context. In a country of, say, 20 million people, a 1 in a million chance means that there are likely 20 people who would match that DNA profile by sheer coincidence. John is just one of them. The DNA evidence doesn't say that there's a 1 in a million chance he's innocent. It says that he is a member of a group of 20 people, one of whom is the real culprit. Without any other evidence, no motive, no alibi, no witness. The chance of him being the specific culprit isn't 99.9999%. It's 1 in 20, or 5%. The 1 in a million figure is used to blind the jury with the illusion of certainty, to make them forget to ask the most important question. 1 in a million. Compared to what? This is the base rate fallacy. We are so mesmerized by the specific dramatic piece of evidence that we forget the underlying probability. the base rate of how common or rare something is in the general population. It's the same trap that makes us fear shark attacks, a handful of deaths per year, more than falling coconuts, which kill far more people, or plane crashes more than car accidents. The dramatic rare event captures our imagination and overwrites the statistical reality. Doctors fall for it when they diagnose a rare, exotic disease because the patient's symptoms match a textbook case they just read, forgetting the base rate that it's overwhelmingly more likely to be a common flu with unusual symptoms. Investors fall for it when they pour money into a revolutionary startup, mesmerized by the story, forgetting that the base rate of startup failure is over 90%. We are all suckers for a good story, and numbers, especially big, impressive numbers, can tell the most convincing and the most deceptive stories of all. We have journeyed through a landscape of lies, from the deceptive simplicity of an average to the confounding reversal of a paradox, from the false link between correlation and cause to the silent screams of the missing data. We've seen how our own minds conspire against us, creating patterns from chaos and certainty from chance. These traps are not just intellectual curiosities, they are the invisible architects of our society. They inform our laws, guide our medical treatments, shape our financial markets, and fuel our political divisions. They are used, both intentionally and unintentionally, to manipulate and mislead. The world is drowning in data. We have more information at our fingertips than any civilization in human history, and this has created a new kind of vulnerability. We are not taught how to be critical consumers of this information. We are not given the tools to question, to probe, to ask, compared to what? What am I not seeing? Is this cause or just correlation? We have been trained to accept the number on the screen as a kind of divine truth, a final answer. But there is no such thing as a final answer. There is only a process of getting closer to the truth. That process is not about being a math genius. It's about being a detective. It's about cultivating a mindset of humble curiosity. It's about having the courage to say, I don't understand, and the tenacity to dig deeper. The goal is not to distrust everything, but to understand more, to trade blind faith for informed skepticism. The world is written in the language of mathematics, a language of beautiful, terrifying power. It can build bridges to the stars, and it can build prisons for the innocent. But it is up to us to become fluent readers, not just passive listeners who are swayed by the loudest statistic. Because in that silent, crucial space between the number and the truth lies everything that truly matters. What's the most misleading statistic you've ever encountered in your own life? A headline, a report at work, a piece of medical advice. Share your story in the comments below, because we learn to spot these traps by sharing our experiences. And if you believe in the power of asking better questions, subscribe for more journeys into the hidden patterns that shape our world. The truth is out there, but it won't be found on the surface. You have to be willing to dig.